Hi everybody, Lawyer Autumn Whitt-Boyd here. I have so much to dig into with you today. You'll see I've got my glasses on because I have a ton of notes. We are going over SBA disaster loans for coronavirus. We're also going to be going over the law that passed last week that is going to affect employers, what you need to know about that, and you may be able to claim benefits for yourself under that as well. And we're also going to be going over the new law that has not yet passed, but apparently there's an agreement on it. So I'm going to go over some basics of that as well. So I'm going to jump right in. This is going to be a longer Facebook Live show than we normally do, but I've gotten a ton of questions and I want to make sure I answer them. If you're watching live, feel free to say hi, drop an emoji in the comments. If you have questions while I'm talking, I'm pointing as if you can see the comment box. Throw them in the comments below and I'll be happy to keep an eye on those and answer them as I go. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is we have a new resources page on our website. You can see it below my face. It is awbfirm.com/COVID-19. We are putting all of our resources there. We have created two new handouts about this, one for employers going over all these new paid sick leave and paid family leave things you are going to need to comply with. And then the second one is about dealing with contracts. So with your clients, with your customers, with vendors, how can you navigate those relationships? So that is all at that link. We're also updating this. I mean, our sweet business manager, Brooke, I am like throwing things up there all the time as soon as I'm seeing the Department of Labor guidance, things from the Small Business Administration, things from other online businesses that are helpful. We just added some financial planning help from my friend Stephanie, who is with a 100 Degrees Consulting. She's put together a planning document that will help you plan your finances through this time of uncertainty. So if you have a helpful resource, shoot me a DM or send us an email to info@awbfirm.com. And if we think that it would be helpful, we're happy to link to it there. We're really wanting this to be kind of a resource hub. There's no opt-in for any of this. It's just there. If you want to, you can sign up for our newsletter there, but you don't have to get any of these resources. But I will mention, we will be updating our newsletter list every time we post new resources, especially if it's something we are putting together. So it would be a great idea if you want to make sure you're staying on top of things with the coronavirus, go ahead and sign up for our newsletter. You can do it right there. I'm also going to be doing some open office hours where I'm doing Q&A on a Zoom call, so where we can be a little more interactive than we can on Facebook Live. And those will go out to the email list. So if that sounds like something that would be helpful to you, go sign up for that so that you make sure that you get them. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about, I think a lot of people have questions about the SBA loans, but I also want to make sure that we talk about the paid leave and paid sick leave and paid family leave that may be available to you as an entrepreneur. So even if you are a solopreneur or a small business owner, you may qualify for some of this, and you definitely need to know about it for your employees. So right now, I'm recording this on Wednesday, March 25th. This new law, it's called the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. I don't know how we're going to abbreviate that. It's FFCRA, the FFICRA, or I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be an acronym coming out soon of how people pronounce that. Right now, it applies to businesses with fewer than 500 employees. And the reason I want you to pay attention to that is normal, very small businesses, so if you've got one employee or even if you're the only employee, most of us don't pay attention to like FMLA and a lot of the other paid sick leave requirements because they apply to larger businesses. So right now, this law does apply even if you have less than 50 employees. There's a provision in the law where there may be some exemptions, but that's not happening yet. We're not sure how that's all going to play out. We're waiting with bated breath to hear, but this goes into effect April 1. So it is coming next Wednesday, April 1. You've got to be compliant. So if you have even one employee, I want you to pay attention. The interesting thing about this is that self-employed people can take advantage of this paid sick leave and paid family leave. So it's going to cover you if you are sick or caring for a sick family member. It's also going to cover what is really interesting if your child's school or daycare has closed and so that has affected your ability to work. You are going to be able to claim paid leave under this provision. I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs. Download our guide. It has much more detailed information about that. Again, that's at the link below me, awbfirm.com/COVID-19. But For the family leave, it can stretch up to 12 weeks. So that's quite a lot of paid leave. If you are self-employed or a business owner, you are going to claim that as a credit against your income taxes for 2020. So they're not paying you. It's basically you just can kind of hold back on what you would normally be paying to the government. So if you've got quarterly estimated payments coming up, you'll be able to work with your CPA to make that calculation and withhold from what you would normally be sending to the government. Now, for your employees, you are going to get a dollar for dollar credit. But again, if you're having to pay for their paid sick leave or paid family leave, how it's going to work is the money that you would normally pay to the government for your employer and employee portions of payroll taxes. So this is like your Social Security, all of those payroll taxes that you normally pay as an employer, you're going to be able to take this credit out of that money. So that's how that is going to work for your employees. And they are talking about sending refund checks if you like me have a very small payroll. So if one of your employees needs this paid leave, it may be more than the amount that I'm paying in those payroll taxes. They are going to do refund checks. So there will be money, actually available to you, even if you're not paying in enough to take that credit. We're still waiting to hear how all of the logistics of that will work, but that's just some basics. So you may have that available to you. I want you to know about that because that may help you not need an SBA loan. What we're really worried about right now is cash flow. So how are you going to make payroll? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to keep your lights on? Keep ordering supplies if you are making products. How are you going to keep your business going and not have to just totally shut down? So if you can avoid having to take out a loan, that would be great. So if you can use what's in this FFCRA to avoid having to take out a loan, that would be ideal. All right. The second thing I'll mention, we have this stimulus bill that was announced today, Wednesday, March 25th. We haven't seen it yet. I'm recording this at 2:12 p.m. We haven't seen it yet, so I can't give you exact details, but there are going to be cash payments. Now, those are going to phase out for individuals who earn $75,000 or married couples earning up to $150,000. We'll see exactly how that works, but those are going to be cash payments. There's also going to be extended unemployment benefits, and those are going to apply to freelancers, gig economy workers. Again, we don't know exactly who's going to be covered there, but it looks like for some of my solopreneur, self-employed clients and friends, you may be eligible to get some of those unemployment benefits, which again, may be enough to get you through and get you paying your family's bills so that you don't have to take out these loans. So I want you to use all of this kind of free money that doesn't have to be paid back, that paid family leave, the paid sick leave, paid childcare leave, these unemployment benefits. That's money that you don't have to pay back. So we want to exhaust that first and do the best that we can with that money first. There are also going to be loans for small businesses. These are different than the SBA loans I'm about to talk about. They are going to be through banks. They are going to be allegedly, again, we haven't seen it, but they are potentially forgivable. So you're going to take out the loan, but then they're going to forgive it. You're not actually going to have to pay it back if you keep paying your workers for the duration of this crisis. Currently, those are available through June 30. So again, we'll see, but that may be a great option for you if payroll is your biggest pain point. Those, again, may be limited to just paying payroll. I don't know. We haven't seen yet. And then also as part of this package, there's giant loans for larger companies that have been hit hard, like airlines and other transportation, restaurants, other big industries that have been hit really hard, hospitals. That's not what most of my clients are worried about, though. All right, so shifting to what I said I was going to talk about, which is the SBA loans. And again, if you're here, say hi, drop a comment. If anything that I've said so far has questions, or if you're watching this later and you have questions, drop them in the comments. I'm happy to keep an eye on this and come back and answer questions later. So for these SBA loans, you're going to apply directly with the SBA. Go to the page that is linked below, awbfirm.com/COVID-19, and I've got a link to the SBA website where you can apply. I will tell you, my job this morning was to go through the loan application myself so that I could get a sense for where questions might be coming up, and the website is down today. So I've been checking it. It is still down right now. So you may find that. I'm sure it is totally overloaded with people trying to apply for loans. Hopefully it'll be back up at some time in the near future. There are paper forms, but I would not recommend using those because the processing time on those is going to be really, really long. And you're already looking at probably a 30-day processing period from the time you complete your application, you submit every single thing they need, to actually getting your money. So it's already going to take a long time. We don't want to delay that anymore with a paper application. But so these loans are available up to $2 million per company. They're very low interest rates, so 3.75% for businesses, 2.75% for nonprofits. There's a potential for up to a 30-year payback period, which is very long for a business loan, pretty much unavailable outside of this program. But there's certain criteria you have to meet. So I'm going to go over that. Is this for you? Is this SBA loan for you? So your business has to physically be located in a declared county and suffered working capital losses due to the declared disaster. So there are only certain counties in certain states. I have a feeling pretty soon will all be declared, but as of today, not every county and not every state has declared a disaster. Your governor or your mayor or some official has to actually declare you a disaster area for you to be eligible for these loans. So you have to have a physical presence in that county, and there's a drop down when you start filling out the form that is going to ask you where are you physically located. So you have to be physically located in one of those places. The second thing is you have to be suffering losses due to the declared disaster, not just due to a downturn in the economy or other reasons. So 2 things I'll point out. If you use a P.O. box for your business, P.O. box is not going to cut it for this part of the form. You're going to have to list a physical address. If you're a home-based business, list your home address. That is where your business is actually located. A P.O. box is not going to cut it for the verification to make sure that you're in the right county. The form, and I got some questions from my friend Natalie Gingrich about going through the form, and she has an online business, and she just said it was impossible to fill it out. I think what her problem is there is a form question that asks for your damaged property address. That is your business address. So they use this form for all kinds of different disasters. You're going to check a box at the beginning saying you're having an economic industry, but they're still going to ask questions as if you got hit by a tornado. So just go ahead and fill out that blank on the form. The damaged property address is your business address. So whatever you would consider your business address, again, not a P.O. box, that's going to go there. And then there's another question that asks for the name of an individual to contact for loss verification inspection. That's you, or whoever else at your company would be the person who's running point on this. So I'm guessing those were the 2 questions that Natalie was having trouble with. Natalie, drop a comment. I'm going to tag you in this to make sure you see it, and let me know if that was not your question. I am very lucky that my office actually used to be in our SBA building here in Chattanooga, and so I have really great contacts at our local SBA office called the Tennessee Small Business Development Center, TSBDC. And so I have been in communication. Actually, one of the women, our sons are in the same class at school. So she has been super, super helpful. She's been sending me resources. I've posted those to the website. So if you go here, you will find those resources. And I went through, they shared a PowerPoint with us that is at this link. That walks you step by step through that application with screenshots. It was super, super helpful. So great information in there. And if you have other specific questions, feel free to let me know. My guess is our SBA offices are inundated with phone calls and emails right now, but I am lucky to have kind of a direct line to someone who is available to be helpful. So I'm happy to ask those questions on your behalf. All right. The next thing to understand is these loans are not for businesses that were already in trouble. So you are going to have to provide a lot of financial information about your personal and business finances. And if you are already showing a downward trend starting in January, or if you, oh, hey, Sarah, there's my TSBDC friend. I'm glad you're watching. If your business was already on a downward trend, you may have trouble qualifying for these loans because you are going to have pretty strong financials, and you're going to have to show that the downward trend in your business started because of the pandemic, not just because of, you were generally having a tough time anyway. We don't have 100% standards on how they're going to evaluate that yet, but that is what I'm hearing. The other important thing is they're going to look really carefully at your ability to repay. So all that financial information that they're looking at, they're going to make sure you're not over leveraged. They're going to make sure you don't already have too much other debt. So that is going to be a factor in being able to qualify for these loans. A credit score over 640 is a general guideline. Again, that is not necessarily a hard and fast cutoff, but they're wanting to give these loans to people who are going to be able to pay them back, and your credit score is part of that evaluation. Documents to gather. So get ready. It's a lot of documentation. Business financials and tax returns for the last 3 years. If your business has not been in business for the last 3 years, that may be a question that we get. We'll see how that plays out. Oh, hey, Laura. Nice to see you here as well. Y'all, if you've got questions, definitely pop them in the comments as I'm going through this. If you have not yet filed your 2019 taxes, which many of us haven't, especially since the deadline was just extended to July, you'll probably need to supply some additional financial information because if 2018 is the most recent tax return that you have, obviously we're a year and a half past that. So you're going to need good financials. So if your books are not up to date, if you don't have, a QuickBooks or other accounting software that you've been tracking all your expenses and revenues, go ahead and start working on those because those are going to need to be up to date. You may also have to provide profit and loss statements and a balance sheet for the current year. So last year, if you haven't filed your 2019 taxes, and this year. So all of that, especially if you delay doing your books until they're due for taxes, we want to go ahead and keep those current because you are going to be required to provide some of that. And then you'll also have to provide information about your personal finances, so your personal liabilities and assets. Do you own a home or other property? What kind of other, if you have a student loan debt or other personal debt, and what other assets do you have personally? These loans are I'm going to give you a list of what these loans are intended to be used for. So they are working capital loans. So that means they're supposed to be paying kind of your current expenses, fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that could have been paid but for this disaster. They are not intended to replace lost sales or profits. So this is not an opportunity for you to kind of zhuzh up your bottom line. This is supposed to kind of keep you at status quo. They are also not for debt consolidation or expansion. So this is not for you to launch a new product line or, I've got 16 loans out here and I'd really like to consolidate at this really low rate. That's not what it's for. You're not going to be able to use it for that. Some other good some documentation you might want to consider having on hand. If you can project what you think your losses are going to be over the next year, I think that might be helpful to think through. I know it's going to be depressing, but look at maybe this month, if you're seeing sales drop, what's that going to look like if it continues or gets worse? Now, one question I had personally was, how do you decide how much you want to ask for? And there is actually nowhere on the application that lets you say, I would like to borrow $100,000 or I would like to borrow $3 million. Actually, it's capped at 2, so don't ask for 2. Don't ask for 3. But this is going to be an evaluation that the SBA reviewers make of what you are allowed to apply for borrowing. I will say a nice feature of these loans is you are not required to take one. So if they come back and it's either a crazy number or a number that's not helpful to you, you're not obligated to take them once you go through this process. There is also no application fee. So really the only trouble is your time and energy of gathering all of this stuff. So that is, those are 2 nice features of these loans. Collateral, let's talk about collateral. So if you are borrowing less than $25,000, they are not going to require you to tie the loan to any collateral. Oh, great. Sarah is piping in. I appreciate your comment, Sarah. So Sarah's saying they do want you to request an amount in the comments. So go ahead and look at your financials. Sarah, if you have guidance on this and you want to throw it in the comments, I would appreciate it. What I'm hearing from talking to other financial advisors is look out 3 months. And what would you need to kind of survive the next 3 months? And that would be the appropriate amount to request as your loan amount. But Sarah, again, feel free to pop in and tell me if you are suggesting another number, because I think none of us really know what this is going to look like in the next couple months. But I think longer than that, is probably not going to be feasible. But so if you're under $25,000, you are not going to be required to put any collateral up. That means think of a car loan. The car is the collateral. So if you don't pay the loan, they come and take the car. Your house is the collateral for your mortgage. If you don't pay the mortgage, they take the house. So you're going to have some collateral over $25,000 if that's what you're borrowing. It may be your personal house. It may be a business asset. I think real estate is the preferred collateral. Again, Sarah, let me know if you know differently. But for a lot of us with online businesses, we don't have a lot of business assets. So our personal home may be the only collateral that we have to put up. So again, I want you to think through that and think, do I want to risk my personal home if my business is unable to pay back this loan? That's something you should be talking about with your CPA, talking about with your, if you use an outside CFO, or if you have financial advisors who can help you make that evaluation. The benefit of having a business and having an LLC is that you can kind of isolate your debts and anything that goes wrong to the business's assets. But once you start pledging your personal home or other personal assets as collateral, now you could be putting those at risk even if the business goes under. So these are just things to think through. We are in uncharted waters. I think we're all hoping that we'll come through this on the other side better and stronger, hopefully, if we can just get through, and that's what these loans are intended to do. But I want you to think about that. Sarah has mentioned, she says, yes, think 3 to 6 months of expenses. And she is agreeing, yes, real estate is the preferred collateral for this. Okay. I got a question from Alex. Hey, Alex, would this be applicable for a nonprofit? My understanding is yes, because we have a separate, we have a lower interest rate for nonprofits. But again, Sarah, if you want to chime in, I do believe these disaster loans are available for nonprofits. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes to make sure I covered everything. Oh, there is a question about whether payments may be waived for the first year on these loans. So you may be able to take out the loan and not actually have your first repayment due for a year. That is not set in stone, but that's kind of a potential. All right, so that covers my many things that I had to say about the SBA loans. So unless you guys have other questions, I'm just going to direct you again to our website where we're posting stuff constantly. We added a bunch more stuff today. On that, employee paid sick leave and paid family leave. The Department of Labor has just released new guidance, and they've released the posters that you're going to have to post in your break room, or we're going to now have to do that virtually because no one hopefully is going into work. So those are linked at our website. Go check those out. You know, for employees to be able to take the leave, they have to know how it works. So those posters are kind of how you give people notice. Let's see, I've got another question from Sean. He's asking, as a sole proprietor who obviously does not get unemployment, will the stimulus help us? Yes, that's the great news, is that you will be able to claim under the bill that has already been signed into law. You will be eligible to claim paid family leave if your children are out of school and you're having to take care of them. That will be available to you. That's going to be a credit against the income taxes that you're supposed to be paying. So it's not money in your pocket, but it's kind of money you were going to have to pay that now you don't have to pay to the government. And then the other thing that you will be eligible for, we think, is in the new law that has not yet passed, but is kind of an agreement in principle. What we've been hearing about today on Wednesday, March 25th, that Congress has agreed upon, is that they are extending up to 4 months of unemployment benefits, and that will extend to people like you who are self-employed. Again, we don't know exactly how that's going to work, but my guess is that the states are going to administer that through their normal unemployment offices, and you'll just have to submit your paperwork, and then that will start coming back to you. We'll be updating, again, that resource page on our website that it looks like Sarah Kate helpfully threw in the comments, so you can just click on it instead of having to type it. We'll be putting all of that there, and I'll probably be going live here and in my Instagram stories a lot in the next couple days as we learn more of those details. So Sean, feel free to watch back if you want more details from earlier in the video. We'll leave this up on the page. All right, I am going to hop off. I try not to let these get too long, and we are a little bit long. So thank you guys again. If you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments, and we'll keep an eye on this. It is changing so quickly. So I actually feel really lucky and kind of blessed to be in a position where I can help make this understandable to a lot of people who are, trying to figure this all out day by day as things are changing. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.